Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Lately I've been thinking a lot about what it really means to live a good life after retirement. I'm 65 now, and I've spent the last few months sitting down with folks who are a little further down the road than me, men and women in their 70s and even their 80s. Over coffee on park benches and at community gatherings, I asked them a simple question. If you could go back, what would you do differently about your retirement? Their answers surprised me. Some made me smile, others really hit me hard. Because when you hear someone who's 80 years old look you in the eye and say, "I wish I had," you can feel the weight of those words. It's not theory, it's lived experience. And I couldn't help but think, if we listen closely, maybe we can avoid some of those same regrets ourselves. So today, I want to share with you the 5 biggest regrets I heard from those older retirees. These aren't numbers from a survey or advice from a book. They're real voices, real reflections. And I'll tell you, some of them made me rethink the way I'm living my own retirement right now. Stick around, because if you're planning your retirement, or even just dreaming about it, these lessons might change the way you see the years ahead. The very first thing almost every one of them told me was this: "I wish I had retired earlier." Now, you have to remember, most of these folks came from a different generation. They didn't really have the option of retiring at 55 or 60. For them, 65 was the standard age, and even that sometimes felt like a stretch. They worked long, hard years because that's what you did. You put in the time, you collected your pension, and only then did you think about slowing down. But sitting across from me, in their 70s and 80s, there was this bittersweet look in their eyes. They said, "If I had just given myself a few more years, even 3, 4, 5 years sooner, I would have had more time in my golden years to do the things I dreamed about. More time to travel, to play with their grandkids, to take long walks without worrying about aches and pains." That hit me, because here I am, already retired, and I realize how precious these years are. Every year we spend grinding away at work is one less year we might have when our bodies are still strong enough, our energy still high enough, to chase after what matters most. So their first piece of wisdom to me was simple: if you can, retire sooner. Give yourself the gift of time, because once it's gone, you can't buy it back. The second thing they shared honestly caught me off guard. They said, "I wish I had spent more money when I was younger." At first, I thought that sounded strange. Most of us spend our working years hearing the opposite: save, save, save. Put money away for the future. Be responsible. And of course, that's important. But these older retirees told me something I hadn't really thought about before. When you hit 75 or 80, you don't move around as much. You don't feel like hopping on planes, taking long trips, or trying new adventures. Your health slows you down, and even if the bank account looks good, you just don't have the same drive or ability to enjoy it. One man leaned back in his chair, smiled a little, and said, I should have taken that trip to Europe when I was 60. I had the money, I had the health, but I kept thinking, better save it for later. Well, later came, and now my knees don't agree with the idea. That really stuck with me. Money is meant to be a tool, not just something to guard forever. And their advice was clear. Don't be so afraid of running out that you miss out on living. In your early retirement years, spend some of it on the things that bring you joy: the travel, the experiences, the memories. Because later on, you might not even want them anymore. So lesson number 2 was this: don't just save for tomorrow. Make sure you're also living today. The third regret I heard, and this one came up again and again, was about health. They told me I wish I had taken better care of myself. It wasn't said with anger, more with a quiet kind of sadness. One woman told me, when you're younger, you think your body will always bounce back. You eat what you want, you skip the exercise, and somehow you still keep going. But then one day you wake up, and your body just doesn't recover like it used to. Another man admitted he ignored his doctor's advice for years, and now he carries those choices with him every single day. And I'll be honest with you, that one hit close to home. I've got a bit of a sweet tooth myself. I've always loved dessert, and for years I told myself, what's the harm? But listening to them made me realize that the harm isn't always immediate. It creeps up on you over time. So I made a promise to myself, right then and there, to start doing better. Maybe it's as simple as swapping out dessert for fruit most nights, or finally sticking to that morning walk I keep putting off. Because what they taught me is that money, hobbies, even travel, none of it matters if your health fails you. Their wisdom was simple but powerful. Take care of your body now, because when you're older, you can't go back and redo it. The fourth regret they shared really opened my eyes. They said, I wish I had picked up a hobby. Now, at first that might sound small compared to health or money, but the more I listened, the more it made sense. One man told me, after 70, my days started to feel empty. I wasn't working anymore, the kids were grown, and the chores around the house got passed off to someone else. Before I knew it, my television became my best friend. That line really stuck with me. Retirement isn't just about stopping work, it's about finding something that makes you want to get up in the morning. Some of them wished they'd learned woodworking, others said gardening. One even laughed and said he always wanted to play the guitar but never got around to it. And one gentleman was doing something I thought was incredible. He was writing his memoirs for his great-granddaughter, with instructions that she couldn't open it until she turned 18. Like a time capsule. How special is that? For me, I've always enjoyed photography. I do a little bit now, but I could see myself leaning into it more as the years go on. Because a hobby isn't just a way to pass the time, it gives you purpose, it keeps your mind sharp, and it creates joy in the everyday. Their advice was clear: don't wait until you're too old and too tired to start. Pick up that hobby now. Your future self will thank you for it. The last regret they shared with me was one I think we can all understand. They said, I wish I had traveled more. When you're in your 70s or 80s, hopping on a plane, dragging a suitcase, or even just walking around a new city isn't as easy as it used to be. Some of them admitted they had the money, they had the time, but they kept putting it off. We'll go next year, they said. But then next year turned into 5 years, and suddenly their health made the choice for them. One woman told me with a sigh, I always dreamed of visiting Italy. I had the brochures, I even circled the places I wanted to see, but life kept getting in the way. Now I just look at those pictures and imagine what it would have been like. That hit me right in the gut, because I've been fortunate. I retired at 55, and my wife and I spent nearly a decade traveling before we settled down with the dogs in Arizona. Those trips, the sights, the laughter, the little misadventures along the way, they're some of my most treasured memories. And I realized how grateful I am that we didn't wait. Their advice is as clear as day. If you can, travel while you're still young enough to enjoy it. Don't wait for the perfect time, because that perfect time might never come. Make the memories now. They'll be worth more than any bank account ever could be. Looking back on all those conversations, I realized something powerful. Retirement isn't really about money or even about time. It's about how you choose to spend the years you're given. Those older voices, filled with honesty, humor, and sometimes regret, reminded me that life is short, and it passes quicker than we think. They wished they had retired earlier, so they could have enjoyed more of their golden years. They wished they had spent more money on experiences instead of letting fear keep them from living. They wished they had taken better care of their health, because once it's gone, no amount of money can buy it back. They wished they had hobbies, passions that gave them purpose beyond television or idle days. And they wished, maybe most of all, that they had traveled more, seen the world, made the memories, and carried those stories into their later years. Listening to them, I couldn't help but reflect on my own life. And I'll be honest, I've made some of those same mistakes, and I'm still working on others. But that's the gift of hearing their stories. It gives us a chance to change while we still can. So if you're watching this right now, I want to ask you, what would your future self thank you for doing today? Is it booking that trip, calling that doctor, picking up that guitar, or maybe just slowing down and choosing to live a little sooner? Whatever it is, don't put it off. Start now. And before we close this video, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think people regret most in retirement? Or what do you fear you might regret one day? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I promise I read every one of them. If this video gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It's free, but it really helps more people see these kinds of stories. And if you'd like to join me as I share more lessons, reflections, and stories about life after work, don't forget to subscribe. Your support is what keeps this channel growing, and it gives me the motivation to keep creating videos like this. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and here's to living a retirement with fewer regrets and a lot more joy.